Welcome to another beautiful, amazing, fantastic presentation, which is also going to be very instant and almost shocking, because right now we have with us Sean Michael Andrews, the world's fastest hypnotist. He is actually also the director of Atlantic Hypnosis Institute, and he is a hypnosis certified hypnotist and instructor of hypnosis. He graduated from Regents College in 1999, and ever since he's been teaching NLP and hypnosis. He's also the author of two books, Who, Me in 2015 and Street Hypnosis in 2016. And he's also produced several he also produced several products for hypnotists and hypnotherapists. And has several awards, including 2018 Hypnotist of the Year from the IACT organization, 2016 Educator of the Year, Hypnotist of the Year in 2013. So he is, like I said, dubbed by many the world's fastest hypnotist. And he will tell us all about the fast hypnosis, but that is not actually the title and the subject of his presentation today. But I'll make sure to ask him about instant inductions as well. So everybody say welcome to Sean Michael Andrews. Sean, thank you so much. Such a joy to see you again.
Thank you, Eugene. It's great to be with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, it's great to be with me. We're always having a good time when we connect and chat with each other. So Sean, before we go into the title, into the subject of your presentation, which is Lies Hypnotists Tell, which sounds so juicy, and I can't wait to dive into that. But before we do that, why do they call you the world's fastest hypnotist?
Well, because I am.
Of course, duh.
No, I think that I'm pretty fast. I hypnotize very fast. My slowest induction is about 3 minutes long, and my fastest induction is instant. However, anyone can do it just as fast as I can. But they probably call me the world's fastest hypnotist because I bought the website, worldsfastesthypnotist.com.
Perfect. Right. So you have come with a very, very incinerating, I would say, very flamboyant, very eye-catching title to your presentation for our summit, and I love it. And it's Lies Hypnotists. What do you mean lies? What do you mean hypnotists tell lies? What is that all about?
Well, hypnotists tell a lot of lies. Like you call yourself the world's fastest No. But anyway, it's funny. I've been at this seriously for about 15, 16 years now. And there are many things that I used to believe about hypnosis. And I doubt them now. I'm beginning to question many of my formerly deeply held beliefs about hypnosis. And so I've had the opportunity over the past few years to do a lot of experiments. I don't like to say research, because when we say research, people expect that we're really documenting it carefully, and I'm not very good at documentation. I am getting better though. So anyway, I've been doing a lot of experiments just to try and prove or disprove the things that I used to believe about hypnosis. And the embarrassing thing about this is that many of the things that I no longer believe, I know that I taught students many years ago.
We all did.
Yeah, and it's funny.
And do.
There's I mean, there's a natural progression. When you take your first few hypnosis classes, you know certain things. It's very black and white when you begin in hypnosis. This is true. This is not true. And then as you practice with real live clients and subjects, if you're doing entertainment hypnosis, you start to see that it's not always black and white. There are shades of gray. And so eventually the world teaches you that things are not as you believe them to be. And so, if you keep an open mind, you'll see these things and you'll make the changes. And so, so the title of my talk today is lies hypnotists tell. And these are lies that hypnotists tell to clients. These are lies that stage hypnotists tell to subjects. I'm also going to talk a bit about lies that hypnotists tell to other hypnotists.
Okay.
Because there are some of those.
Wow. So you made, let me guess, you made a list of these lies?
Well, I have,
Please say
as
yes.
you know,
Please say yes.
when I'm lecturing, I'm pretty good at I lay out a talk.
Wow.
And I mean, I enjoy when you and I talk because it's very interactive, and that's the way.
Yeah.
I think I give a better talk when I'm interacting, especially with a friend. So, but there are certain key points that I absolutely need to get across in every talk. And so this sort of format helps me stay on track. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. Actually, I got this from Gerald Kine.
Okay.
He used to lay out his talks, his lectures, and he would say, from this moment until this moment, I will speak for X number of minutes. This will be my topic, and this is the way I'm going to get it. And these are my main points. And I thought, that's awfully good, because you don't, I hate dry lectures, but I also hate it when you get to the end, you've got 2 minutes left and you have 30 more minutes of material that you wanted to share. So today I want to share lies that hypnotists tell to clients, lies that hypnotists tell to other hypnotists, and also we'll talk a little about lies that we tell ourselves.
Yeah. All right. So 3 phases.
No. Actually, it's just 1 page and a little bit.
No, I said 3 phases, not pages. Phases.
Oh, phases. Right. You got it right. No.
Awesome.
So these lies are bad. Some, if Angela were to ask you, do you think this dress, does this make me look fat, or does this, what does a husband say? Do these pants make my bottom look big? No, that I mean, you say of course not, and it's absolutely the truth every time, 100% of the time. But some husbands might need to fib sometimes, in the interest of marital harmony, and that's just I'm sure there are many fibs that our wives tell us. So go ahead.
For people who don't know what fibs are, what is fibs?
Oh, a fib is a little, we sometimes call it a little white lie. It's Abraham Lincoln was quoted as saying, a lie that soothes is better than a truth that hurts. And in many cases, that's it. Your child brings you a painting that he did in school and says, what do you think? And you're like, what is this thing? Oh, it's wonderful. What a clever little boy you are. I like this. I'm going to put this on the refrigerator. Because and that's a good lie, right? And I think any parent would agree with that. So sometimes we tell a white lie or a fib or a small lie.
Yeah.
Just for a reason, to encourage somebody, and I'll get into that, and I'll talk about how we use these for good, for the client's good. All right, now one of the things that I used to believe, and I believed this for many years, and that was that everyone can be hypnotized. As a matter of fact, if anyone asks you, can anyone be hypnotized? I mean, I know what your answer has been. It's been, of course, anybody can be hypnotized. Anybody who wants to be hypnotized. And the research on this is pretty clear. Like for the past 250 years, at least, the research has shown that not everybody can be hypnotized. About 10% of the population find it very, very difficult to go into hypnosis, difficult or impossible. However, we will say, oh yes, anyone can be hypnotized, because you don't want to, research has shown that expectancy is very important in hypnotizability. So if the client believes that he or she can't be hypnotized, that's going to make it much more difficult to hypnotize that person. If you're a hypnotherapist, how are you going to help this person if they believe they can't be hypnotized and this is putting a block up there? So I mean, one of my favorite subjects, one time I met a young woman, and she was an amazing hypnotic subject. I mean, one of the best hypnotic subjects I've ever met. She was able to get to negative visual hallucinations. In other words, I could tell her that she would be unable to see me or be unable to see a glass on a table, and she couldn't see it. She was completely blind to it. And when I finished, she told me, that's weird. I really didn't think I could go into hypnosis. She said, a guy tried to hypnotize me years ago and it didn't work. And he told me that I wasn't hypnotizable. And I thought, well, the first thing I thought was, he must have been a very bad hypnotist, because you are probably one of the most hypnotizable people I've ever. Me, right? That's right. No, unlike my dog could have hypnotized her. and so, but yeah, that person, when he failed for whatever reason, when he failed to hypnotize this woman, he told her, as the authority figure, as the hypnotist, you are not hypnotizable. And that stuck because, most people, when a client comes into your office, odds are that person has never seen a hypnotist before, never been to a hypnotist before. Usually it's about less than 5% of the time. Yeah. So you are the authority figure, and if you say to that person, you are not hypnotizable, they're going to believe that, and they're probably never going to see another hypnotist again. So that's why we never want to do that. So we'll always tell them, first of all, yes, you can be hypnotized, because we want to set their expectancy, and we know that according to research, that will help them to go into hypnosis easier. And even if you do if you fail to hypnotize someone, it's very important that you don't, after the session, say, you're not hypnotizable, because that will stick, and they will someday maybe want to use hypnosis, but they will not, because an expert told them that they're not hypnotizable. So even on those rare occasions when a good hypnotist is unable to put someone into trance, the proper thing to do is to tell that fib, tell that lie, and say, sometimes it's just not your day, and maybe you had some things on your mind. And she'll say, yeah, I was thinking about other, and you say, so the next time, even if she doesn't come to you, the next time, you'll be fine. Today it just didn't work for you. And that's good, because you don't want them to think that they can't be hypnotized, because that's not really good for them. It takes away an option that they would normally have. Okay.
This is something that actually I found, and as you are saying this, I was also thinking of like the medical profession, where doctors are very, I don't know, I wouldn't say happy, but they kind of like, how do I say this? Because I know there's going to be a lot of doctors who are going to watch this presentation, but so I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, or I might be wrong, but I think there is a discrepancy between I don't want to get sued and I want to keep myself protected, and I have the best of my patient's interest in mind. Right. And sometimes this can be conflicted, because to keep myself protected, I would rather say to the client, there's nothing that can be done. Mm-hmm. And, the client goes home, like, in this case. Whereas if I say to my client, there is nothing that can be done yet, but maybe it will be in the future, then this might raise the hopes of the client that maybe they still have a chance. And if they don't have a chance, then they'll come and suit him, because he gave us hope. So I see that often, you know. I very seldom or very rarely did I see actually people in the medical profession having presenting a result or presenting a diagnostic in maybe terms.
Mm-hmm,
You know, it's kind of like so much easier a cookie cutter to just say, you know, you have this problem, it can be solved.
Right. And I think that's really the difference between a truly successful doctor and a doctor who's not as successful. You're not, in their case, that's pretty easy. You're not really lying. You're saying that, you know, there is an issue, there's a problem. The odds maybe are not great. However, there is always a possibility. I mean, even any doctor would have to admit that sometimes, you know, the miracles do happen and technology does get better. So in that case, it's quite honest. It's quite, you know, it's not a lie at all to tell the patient that. Now, here's a classic example. I was undergoing a procedure and I was in a room and just curtains separating the beds. You know, we're getting ready for operations. And I could hear the woman beside me, and her anesthesiologist came in to talk with her, just to answer any questions she had. And she said to him, well, I will wake up, won't I? And he said, his answer was, well, that's the plan.
Yeah.
And why do you, and I thought, well, that was a funny joke. Yeah. And she said, oh, seriously? And I said, well, that's the plan. And he stuck with that. And I thought, why would you do that? Why would you? Now this woman is scared. She's frightened out of her mind because the doctor, the expert, has just told her that, you know, suggested to her that maybe she doesn't come out of it. I mean, and if you're really cold-hearted, you could look at it and say, look, if you're wrong, she's going to be dead anyway. You know, there's nobody, there's not going to be any evidence here. So the proper, and I know a lot of anesthesiologists, the proper response might be, of course you will. Yeah. Or it might be, I've never lost a patient, or whatever. Now that might be a lie. I don't know. but who cares?
I mean, there are so many ways to answer that question without answering the question.
Exactly.
And most of the people don't actually pay attention to the answer. They just want an answer. There was just to make a parenthesis to what you're saying here, because then people say, well, I will wake up, right? And then you can say, I've never had any issue with any client. You didn't really answer the question. The answer to the question is yes, you will wake up, or no, you will not wake up. That's the answer to the question.
Right.
But you can answer it in such a way that everybody will be happy without actually answering the question.
Exactly. Well, you know, I want, if I had to choose between a doctor with a wonderful personality and a doctor who is highly skilled in surgery, I'm probably going to go with a guy who's highly skilled in surgery. But boy, it's nice to have both, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, there was a joke. It's better to cry at a psychologist than to laugh at a psychiatrist. In a psychologist's office than to laugh in a psychiatrist's office. Yeah.
Exactly. They've got a pill for that. Anyway, all right. So let's go to another lie. Another thing that I used to believe, and that is that if you use that 100% of people can go into somnambulism. And now this one gets kind of tricky. You know, I'm the supervising instructor of the Dave Ellman Hypnosis Institute. And and the word on the street is that when a client, quote, loses the numbers in the Dave Ellman induction, this demonstrates amnesia. And amnesia is defined by many researchers as somnambulism, okay? Profound somnambulism. But you don't necessarily have that. For instance, almost every client that you're going to have is going to lose the numbers, demonstrate this amnesia. However, it's not a hard amnesia. It's not a deep amnesia. In other words, if you were to say to that client, now you can't remember your name, try to speak your name. And a lot of those people are going to say their name. And the reason for that is that Ellman's definition of amnesia and Ellman's definition of somnambulism was different than, say, you would get from Bernheim or one of the other or many current day researchers. So what you do with the Dave Ellman induction, which is my favorite induction of all, is you achieve a nice deep trance, which is deep enough so that you can do hypnotherapy, and that's fine, because depth of trance, there is no correlation between depth of trance and the ability to make a change, for instance, with weight loss. And this is something that I learned in seeing thousands of clients, and that was, I noticed that some of my clients went very deep and some of my clients did not go so deep. But that did not mean that the deep ones lost a bunch of weight and the light ones did not. Sometimes it was the other way around. And so as long as you can do the Dave Ellman induction and you can get them to lose the numbers, you've got a nice trance and you can do some good work with that person and help them make a change in their life. But you don't necessarily have somnambulism. I like deep trance. I just like it because also there's something magical that happens with somebody who's a somnambulist, because they get to feel really hypnotized, which is great. So can 100% of the people reach somnambulism? No. However, that's a lie that I've told many, many times before, and it's just not true. But I don't tell that lie anymore. All right.
Wow,
hey, interesting.
That's a tough one. I was going to invite you to present to my hypnosis course I'm teaching as a guest speaker. I think I just lied to them that you said yes. That's so funny.
The thing is now, there are things like expectancy is so important, right? So you get a client coming in and they're military or former military. And you might say to that client, I wouldn't, but you might say to that client, well, since you have a military background, you're going to be hypnotizable, highly hypnotizable, because it's been shown that people who are military or former military are disciplined, and therefore they are highly hypnotizable. Right. But now I was in the military, and I'm not highly hypnotizable. So I began to wonder, what's the deal here? And I've worked with a lot of military and former military, and some of them are good subjects and some of them are not so good subjects. So what gives? Where did this story come from? And I found this just last week. Eugene, you're going to like this.
Awesome.
There was a case. Okay, you're familiar with a novel that came out in 1894. The novel was Trilby. Okay, the story is Bengali, right? And he hypnotizes this young woman and makes her an automaton, well, 1894, that's when the book came out. Coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, there was a court case in Munich, Germany, in 1894. Or after the book, I think after the book. And there was a hypnotist, a foreigner. He was from, I can't remember where he was. He was from Eastern Europe, and he seduced a German baroness. And so he was on trial. He was on trial. Same sort of deal, right? The hypnotist and the woman, and so same sort of thing. And he was on trial for having used hypnosis to seduce this baroness, right? And so they had an expert witness. I know this is kind of a roundabout way. They had an expert witness, a psychiatrist by the name of Professor Hurt. And according to Hurt, in his testimony, he said many people are highly hypnotizable. For instance, military people, because they tend to be very disciplined. And I thought, okay, first instance that I've been able to find of this story about military people being highly hypnotizable goes back to 1894. And there's probably something, earlier than that. But in 1894, a hypnosis expert stated this lie. And it is a lie because military people are not necessarily highly hypnotizable. I have not found a difference in their hypnotizability. So that's a lie. If I told that to a client, you're in the military, you're going to be good. That's not necessarily true. However, expectancy, as was noted in, who is it? A researcher named Council in 1986, showed that expectancy was very, very important in hypnotizability. So that's why you might want to tell that lie, because you want to help people go into hypnosis. All right, so let's talk about another lie that we say. Okay, we do suggestibility tests sometimes when we're doing a demonstration. Maybe we do finger magnets. All right, you do finger magnets and they do really well. And you say to that person, wow, you did great. That means that you would be highly hypnotized. You would be great at going into hypnosis. That's a better way to put it. You would be great. You have a talent for it. Well, do they? Well, no, they don't, because finger magnets done that way, those fingers come together because their hands are pressed together and squeezing together. It's a physiological thing, and that's why those fingers want to go together. However, we're using this little fib to raise the expectancy of our subject so that they will feel more confident in their ability to go into hypnosis. So that's why we tell that lie. You always say, you did great. Now, what happens if you do a suggestibility test, like for instance, books and balloons? If you do books and balloons, and some people, they will not move their hands at all, right? You've done that. And so, but you don't tell that person, oh, no, I'm afraid you're not hypnotizable.
You suck. You don't tell them.
You suck. What about the ones, have you ever had them, Eugene? So they're supposed to go like this, but you ever have them go the other way? That's a weird one. But anyway, so what's wrong with you? So anyway, so you want to set their expectation. You say, oh, that's okay. I have many suggestibility tests, and that just probably wasn't your test. Is that a lie?
Hopefully
it's a lie.
Pass a test, right?
Yeah, I'll find something you can pass. All right.
Yeah,
well, let's
praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Here's something we always say when we explain hypnosis. Often we'll say things like, "Oh yeah, it's a lot like, have you ever experienced highway hypnosis? Where you're in the car and you arrive at your destination, you were lost in thought, and you don't remember the way you went." And people will go, yeah, and you'll say, that's what hypnosis is like. Well, that's not what hypnosis is like. That's just somebody being lost in thought, and it's, in my view, it's nothing like hypnosis. However, it's something that almost everybody can identify with. So so almost everybody has done it. So therefore, if I've done it, then probably this hypnotist, this expert is right, and I will be able to go into hypnosis. So in my mind, that's a lie. What about, the other one I've heard hypnotists tell. We go in and out of hypnosis. Every normal human being goes in and out of hypnosis many, many times every day. Really? I don't think so. I think I'm pretty much with it most of the day, and I don't think I'm slipping in and out of trance all day. It's just not happening. However, hypnotists will say this, excuse me, because they want to set the expectation, so but that's a lie. Here's one. Intelligence. We often say that. And I've used this one so many times. The two main factors in hypnosis, hypnotic ability, are imagination and intelligence. And I'll say, and I find that the more intelligent a person is, the better they are at going into hypnosis. And so everybody believes they're above average in intelligence, right? How is that possible? I'm not sure. But anyway, everybody believes that. So because they believe that, Now that means that you're going to be highly hypnotizable. Well, there is no research that shows that people who are more intelligent are more highly hypnotizable. It just isn't there. One of the studies I read, it was funny. It gave women a little bit more of an edge if they were measuring verbal intelligence as opposed to math sort of based intelligence. It gave women just a little bit of a boost, but really from that research, you mostly take that women are a little bit better at going into hypnosis than men. That is true. That's not a lie, but it's just a little bit, not very much. But anyway, so yeah, none of the research suggests that the more intelligent you are, the more highly hypnotizable you are. It's just not there. However, we say that, or even if we're being mean, we might say, yeah, anybody can be hypnotized. Yeah, anybody of normal intelligence. Well, nobody
I'm not
wants
sure about you. We'll do something else with you.
I mean, I used that against a reporter one time that was giving me he wasn't giving me a hard time, but he wasn't really cooperating. And so I mentioned that creativity and intelligence were, the two factors in hypnotizability. And so he didn't want to be seen, a TV reporter, you don't want to be seen as not creative, and you certainly don't want to be seen as not intelligent. So he started to cooperate with me, and he did go into trance. But anyway, sometimes if you're being mean, you could say, oh yeah, anybody of normal intelligence can go into hypnosis.
So this actually could be the biggest manipulative trick a hypnotist can use when they want to get results with somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry. You asked the question again, please.
I said, so this can be the biggest manipulative trick a hypnotist can use when they want to hypnotize somebody.
Oh no, I have many, many more tricks. That's like, you know me, Eugen. I'm pretty sneaky. The good thing is that I share. I don't keep secrets. If I know something, I'm going to share, and I'm sure I'm going to let some more secrets out here. Well, if I know them and I tell them, they're not very big secrets. Okay, so there's no proof. I mean, Hilgard in 65 and Kroger in 77 they're researching. That's pretty highly regarded. There's no thing. However, I'll tell you who is highly hypnotizable. Not stupid people, but gullible people. Gullible people tend to be more highly hypnotizable because they're gullibility. I'm talking about being very trusting, almost childlike innocence. And of course, children are more highly hypnotizable than adults. The research shows that. But if you have a friend, I have a friend who is just so gullible, very intelligent, but gullible. This person would believe just about anything you tell them, and surprise, surprise, very highly hypnotizable. So yeah. So let me see. What else? What are other lies that you tell?
I wonder now, because you're talking about being gullible. I want to know if there is such a test for to find if people are gullible or not, and how would you do? Because you could use that test as a pre-screening for your clients. Kind of a thing. It's very interesting.
Well, actually, there was a scientist, a Romanian scientist, that actually did prove that.
Okay.
And you fell for it. That was pretty gullible, Eugene.
Oh man! Oh my God, that was too good.
I'm very sorry, my friend.
No, that is perfect. That is perfect. I mean, well done, you. I totally fell for it. I was like, who's that? I never heard of this guy. But having said that,
yes,
there are actually studies, and this is for real. I'm not
okay
gullibility tricking anyone here, but there are several studies who show that if you say something, and there is a joke, I don't know if it's international, but in Romania there is this joke. If you say something and you say a team of researchers found that, like 90% of people will actually buy it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, and in Romania we have, and again, no offense, but everywhere in the world you have jokes about a certain nation.
Oh yeah.
Right. So in Romania, I don't know if it's international, but in Romania, because this has been used so much, there's this joke going around saying a British scientists research team discovered that, and that's it. When you say British research team, then you know it's there, because it's been used so often to try to sell stuff to people, because if it's British, it might be something, but then when it's overused, actually went the other way around. So there is this joke here. But joke aside, people will like to have numbers and statistical data or research kind of like showing something, and then they'll buy it, whatever you tell them.
Absolutely. And but of course, you and I know that not all research is the same. Many of these experiments are not, can't be duplicated. And so, and especially with something in the field of the mind, it's very squishy. It's not like a lot of medical research and other scientific research where things get measured really, really carefully. We can't do that. And so so a lot of other scientists will think that our stuff is pretty squishy, and I have to agree that they're right. But if we can duplicate an experiment several times, then it becomes a little bit less squishy. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely. If you say, who was it? It was something in an old movie with Clint Eastwood, and he said something like, I read somewhere, and he mentions that whenever I say something and I want them to believe it, if I say I read it somewhere, people tend to believe me, and by golly, they will. This is before the days of self-publishing. But anyway, so what else? Okay, let's talk about let's talk about age regression.
Yes, baby.
Regression is a very useful tool. Dave Ellman used to call it hypnoanalysis. All right, and he called it the crown jewel of hypnosis. What he did call it was everything in hypnosis, right? Age regression. I mean, every issue that a person has does not necessarily come from a traumatic event in their past. Not every issue, some do. And in those cases, age regression can be extremely useful. However, if someone, bites their fingernails, they were not necessarily beaten savagely when they were 3 years old. It doesn't. But and when a hypnotist or a psychologist goes into age regression with a client, it's not always the best thing for the client. And also we can get into the area of confabulation. People can make up false memories. And so that's a danger that a hypnotist needs to look out for. So, and another thing, when someone retrieves a memory from way back when of a traumatic event, it's not always 100% accurate. Many hypnotists believe that it is, but it isn't. It's, as a matter of fact, it's almost guaranteed that it's not exactly as it happened. And now, if the person retrieves a memory that's not 100% historically accurate, it may very well fix their issue, which is great, but it's not necessarily accurate. And I think that the client needs to be told the truth of that after the fact. So, all right, so that's another one. Let's talk about some other lies we tell clients. The pre-brief. We want to do a pre-brief, and that will aid in hypnotizability of the client or the subject. As you know, my pre-brief lasts for 58 seconds. That's how long it takes for me to explain hypnosis, right? And I tell them that they wouldn't do anything against their will. I tell them that they wouldn't tell secrets in hypnosis, and I tell them that they can't get stuck in hypnosis. It takes me 58 seconds to deliver this. And
for people who are not familiar with the term pre-brief, actually that's the pre-talk or the initial conversation you have with a patient or with a client.
Right. Here's my pre-brief. There are three common misconceptions about hypnosis. The first one is that there's a loss of control. There is no loss of control in hypnosis. You'd never do anything in hypnosis you wouldn't normally do. You'd never do anything against your moral, religious, or personal values, or something you just thought was silly. Like, for instance, when you're in hypnosis, if I say to you, stand on your head, you'd say, I don't want to do that. You wouldn't be compelled. The second common misconception about hypnosis is that people tell secrets in hypnosis. And that's not true either. If you had a secret to keep in your normal waking state, you would keep it in hypnosis. You're not going to give me the PIN number for your ATM card. And the third common misconception about hypnosis is that people can get stuck in hypnosis. And that's not true either. In 4,000 years of people being hypnotized, nobody ever got stuck. However, when you're deep in hypnosis, it's going to feel so good you wish you could get stuck, but you can't. Okay, so that is my pre-brief. Okay, and this will allay the fears of most of the people. And so many hypnotists have a longer pre-talk or pre-brief or whatever they want to call it, or explanation of hypnosis. I like to do things fast, right? So why should I spend extra time in this when the purpose of this is, well, okay, the purpose of this is not to educate my client on hypnosis, because if they want to be educated on hypnosis, both of us, and we could talk all day, and we could talk all day about it. It's our favorite subject, but it's not necessary that the client understands everything about hypnosis in order for her to go into trance. It's just not necessary. So the true purpose of the pre-brief is to soften up the client so that she feels comfortable and that she feels confident that she can go into hypnosis. That's the purpose of it. Now, you wouldn't do anything you wouldn't normally do. You won't tell secrets, and you can't get stuck in hypnosis. It's lies. It's not true. It's lies. It's another 3 more lies that we tell people, right? Yeah. Would you do something in hypnosis that you wouldn't normally do? Well, have you ever been to a hypnosis show? There are people doing some things that they wouldn't normally do. So, I mean, some people will do some really wild things in hypnosis. But as ethical hypnotherapists, we're not going to try and get somebody to do something that would not be in their best interest. It just, we wouldn't do anything like that. So if you look at it that way, it's the truth. You wouldn't do anything that you normally wouldn't do, because I wouldn't ask you to do something that you wouldn't normally do.
Ooh,
but if I did, you would probably do it. So that's why, it's a lie, but yet it's not a lie. It's like my anesthesiologist, that's the plan, So okay, we tell secrets in hypnosis. You wouldn't tell secrets in hypnosis. People tell me secrets all the time. And they tell me things that they don't even know, that they didn't even know about until they went into trance, and boom, these memories come back. Now, okay, so, but would it be in the client's interest to suggest to her that she might tell me some things that she would not normally tell me? Is that going to help her in the therapy? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to make her feel more at ease. I don't think it's going to make her feel relaxed and comfortable and induce trance. So why would I tell her something like that? The other thing is, if my client reveals something to me in hypnosis, is it really a secret, or is somewhere in her mind is her brain thinking, this is bothering me. If I get this off my chest, I can get better. And that's the way I look at it. So if a client shares something with me, it always stays in that room. And the only reason we're doing it is to help the client achieve his or her goal. So yes, people will tell secrets in hypnosis, but it doesn't help for me. It doesn't help induce hypnosis if I suggest to the client that they might tell me secrets. All right. The third one, can you get stuck in hypnosis? Now, this is kind of a funny one. We know that with the Esdale state, or with people in particularly deep trances that are just feeling great, often they don't want to come out when we tell them to come out of hypnosis, because why would they? They feel good. I mean, no worries, just, it's great. but then also I wanted to find out. So I've done an experiment just to see, could you stick somebody in hypnosis? And of course, when I do this kind of an experiment, I've always got the camera rolling, the video camera, but then also I want a witness in the room too. So, and it was agreed to by the client, not the client, but the subject, who was a friend of mine in both cases. And they said, yeah, let's see if you can stick me in hypnosis. And so I did. And now, could I stick them indefinitely in hypnosis? Of course not. I mean, this is not Trilby. This is, this is just an experiment. If I can keep you from exiting hypnosis when you want to. And yeah, you could. Now, is this useful? I don't really see a use for this. But anyway, certainly not a civilian use for this. So
all right, okay.
So
tricky right there.
So there you go. Actually, I don't see any other use for this. This is just silly. Okay. But anyway, but yeah, so that was a lie. That's a lie too. But if you were my client and I said you can't get stuck in hypnosis. However, I did an experiment one time. No, that's not going to be good. You're not going to go into trance if I tell you that under specific circumstances, it might be possible to temporarily stick somebody. No, that's not going to help. So there are 3 lies that we tell. What else? There are some other good ones. Okay. What about how about a lie that hypnotists tell the other hypnotists, but also a lie that we tell the clients? And that is, oh yeah, I'm 100% successful with this. Well, if you do something one time and you're successful, for that brief moment, you can tell people that you are 100% successful with that technique. Other than that, I'm going to have a hard time believing you. However, why would you tell this to a client? Well, you might say this to the client because you want them to have the expectancy that they are going to be successful. This guy told me he's 100% can help me with smoking. Great. And if they have that belief that you are 100%, they are going to be more likely to stop smoking than they would be if you said, I'm about 65% 65% successful with smoking, which is probably a closer number to the truth. It's always hard to put numbers on these things because you don't know. I mean, can you follow that person around for the rest of her life and make sure she doesn't have a cigarette? So how are you going to say that? So anyway, but I mean, this is something that some hypnotists tell the other hypnotists. Oh, my program is 100% successful with whatever. Anything that a hypnotist uses to suggest that they're very successful, you need to take with a grain of salt. Okay.
There's a question I have for you, and then we'll continue. But there's this affirmation, like most hypnotists talk about, and that is, you cannot hypnotize someone against their will.
Oh, yes. You sure can.
Tell us about that one. Is that a lie or is it not a lie?
That's a lie. You can hypnotize. You can hypnotize someone against their will, and I have done that in the interest of science. Okay.
Of course.
But now, can you hypnotize everybody, or is it as successful with a non-willing subject? No, it's not. But there are ways. Actually, was it during World War II or was it during the Cold War? They did experiments with hypnotizing people against their will. Like, what could you do? I mean, could you do an interrogation of somebody, of a prisoner, with this? Mm-hmm. And one of them I read about was very interesting. What they would do is they would suggest that before they talked with this prisoner, they were going to give them a medical go over by a doctor just to make sure everything was right. And then when they put the blood pressure cuff on them, they said, holy crap, look at that blood pressure. It's going crazy. They had it fixed so that it was going to show, 2 million over 30 or something like that, and convince this person that, you better calm down or you're going to have a stroke. You're going to burst a blood vessel in your head. This is very dangerous. And the crash cart comes in and all that kind of stuff. And so this person is scared, and then they give them the just calm down, just relax. That's right. Just breathe deeply. That's right. Close your eyes. Okay, that's helping a little bit. Okay, now just relax, relax, relax. And they could hypnotize some people that way. And then, now whether or not this person would give up information in an interrogation, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I think they found really though that the way to get information out of people is to be nice to them. That's it. A cigarette can go a long way. a good meal, certainly a couple drinks. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's pretty much accepted that the way to get someone to divulge information is to be nice to them. You always say, remember in police interrogation, you have good cop and bad cop. Well, just plain old bad cop doesn't do it. You have to have the good cop, because that's the one they tell the secrets to. Anyway, we've kind of gone far afield. Oh yeah, so can you hypnotize someone against their will? Yes, sometimes. And there are some people that just are unable to resist trance, because trance is great. It makes you feel good. So you could hypnotize somebody against their will. However, that doesn't mean you could get that person to then do something against their will. So why would you do that? I mean, first of all, it's kind of rude to do that. And second of all, to what end? Because they're not necessarily going to do something against their will or tell you secrets or do anything like that. So why would you do that? But I only did it a couple of times back when I was younger, just to see if it would work. And yeah, it does work. But I tell people that you can't hypnotize somebody against to do it anymore.
Awesome.
So there you go. But that was a good one. I'm glad you brought that one up. I did not have that one on my list.
All right. Okay.
and a couple more lies that hypnotists tell. And these are lies we tell ourselves. And if your business is not successful, you might say, it's not successful because I'm just not in a good area for hypnosis. My area is too conservative or too religious, or there are not enough people in this town, or my country, culturally, hypnosis is sort of a scary thing, or there are all these excuses that a hypnotist can tell himself, tell herself, but they're not really true. What is probably true in most cases is that hypnotist is not a very good business person. Most hypnotists who are not successful, it's not because of their knowledge of hypnosis or their techniques that they use. They're not successful because they're not good at running a business, at advertising, at marketing, at doing these things. That's where most of the hypnotists that I've seen fail or just not be very successful. That's what it stems from, not being a good business person. So that's important. So that's a lie that you can tell yourself to make yourself feel good about the fact that your business is not successful and you're only seeing a couple of clients, a month. That's what I found. I mean, I've taught in 17 countries, and I've asked people, especially Romania, my favorite. But I have found that hypnotists out there aren't generally seeing very many clients, and most hypnotists are part-timers. And if they wanted to be full-timers and they would learn how to run a business, they could be much more successful. But some don't want to, and then others just haven't caught on that the business part is so important. What's one final lie? And this is a lie that we tell ourselves, and it is that I know it all. That's the lie that we tell ourselves. I know it all. I'm thoroughly educated in hypnosis, and this is the way things are. They're black and white. This works. It doesn't work. This is good. This is bad. And I was like that when I was younger in the business, and it's just not true. As you go on, as you mature, if you're lucky, you realize that you don't know anything, or all the things that you used to know absolutely just aren't true. And you find this out through your own experience, or you find it out through learning and interacting with your colleagues, and just doing your own experiments and reading. And there's so much to know, and I learn new things almost every day. I mean, hypnosis is endlessly fascinating. It is the most fun thing. I've had many jobs, and they've all been really good jobs. Nothing can hold a candle to being a hypnotist. It is the most amazing thing in the world, and I feel so happy that I happened into this. It's why would somebody not want to be a hypnotist? It's the coolest thing. I mean, you're the most interesting person in the room when you go into anywhere.
Yeah.
You know? I don't care. I don't care if somebody does brain surgery. I don't care. A hypnotist is even more interesting than that.
Yeah. And people either look at you, or they shy their eyes away from you. Don't look into my eyes, kind of a
That's
thing.
right. That's right. Oh, that's one of my favorite things. You know, I like this. Like, don't look into Eugen's eyes. Why? Because he's a hypnotist. Oh, really? You know, and I can set you up and get you people interested in you just like that. So much more powerful when somebody else says, "Don't look into his eyes." So much more powerful than when I say, "I'm a hypnotist." Now, I'd rather you tell people I'm a hypnotist. Then looks beautiful. Yeah.
And I totally vouch to, you know, what you said about, you know, learning, like, for instance, setting up this summit, this event. Oh my God, I'm telling you, I'm always taking notes, taking notes. Like, even with your presentation now, of course, you know, I took a lot of notes. And like, after each presentation, I have a bunch of new ideas that I never had before that presentation. So with each new presentation, with each new interaction, there's so much good stuff, great stuff that we are learning from each presentation. And I'm so, you know, grateful and thankful for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of this, and thank you very much. And hopefully we can get together in person really soon, because I'm getting a little tired. I'm getting a little tired of this coronavirus thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody is. So, Sean, where can people get in touch with you? How can they learn more about your stuff, what you do, how they can, you know, jump into your classes, or, you know, see some of your products that you're offering?
Probably if they just Google World's Fastest Hypnotist, or if they go to my website, worldsfastesthypnotist.com, because one of the things I have is I have a newsletter that comes out almost every week, and it gives tips on how to do hypnosis. Also, they could check out my YouTube channel if they look up World's Fastest Hypnotist on YouTube, because I've got over 300 videos of hypnosis and how to do inductions and how to do therapy and how to do fun things with hypnosis. So those are probably the two best places to find me. And that's probably it. And if they want to find out about my classes or mentorships, they can find that on worldsfastesthypnotist.com.
Perfect. Awesome. So everybody, you know where to find Sean. I strongly advise you go and search for him, because he's got so much value to share and to offer. And I know that you are going to love it. Now, let's take a quick break, and please go ahead and share in the Facebook group, share your notes. Let us know the key ideas you got from this presentation. And like I said, let's take a quick break, and we'll see you after the break, or we'll see you in the next day. So stay tuned. See you soon.